I need to preface this by saying I've told this story maybe 4 times in my life, and every single time, halfway through, I start second-guessing what I actually saw. Not because I doubt it happened, because some part of my brain still tries to talk me out of it, even now. Sitting here typing this out at almost 2 in the morning with every light in my apartment on, it was late October. A Thursday, and I was driving back from my cousin's wedding rehearsal dinner about 3 hours outside the city. I'd left later than I meant to because the venue ran long, and then I sat in the parking lot texting my sister about how our uncle had gotten weirdly emotional during the toast. By the time I actually pulled onto the highway, it was already past 10. And I remember thinking, fine, I'll just push through. I'll be home by 1. The drive was unremarkable for the first hour and a half. Empty 2-lane highway, cornfields on either side, the occasional set of headlights coming the other way. I had a podcast playing, something about true crime, which in hindsight feels almost funny. Like the universe was setting something up, and I just wasn't paying attention to the joke. My gas light came on around mile marker 60-something. I wasn't worried. I've driven on empty before. Everyone has. You always have more room than the car wants you to think you do. But then the podcast kept going, and the fields kept going, and I didn't see a single exit sign for almost 20 minutes, which for that stretch of highway felt off. I know that road. I've driven it a dozen times visiting my cousin. There should have been at least 2 exits by then. I finally saw a sign. Small, reflective paint half peeled off. Just a picture of a gas pump and an arrow. No name, no mile count. No brand logo, which I didn't think much of at the time. Because you see those independent stations out in farm country all the time. I took the exit. The road off the highway was narrower than I expected. No lines painted down the middle, just cracked asphalt with grass growing up through the seams. I remember slowing down because I genuinely couldn't tell if I was still on a real road or if I'd somehow turned onto someone's private property. Then the station came into view. It was lit, which was the first thing that struck me as strange, because everything else out there was pitch black. No other buildings, no farmhouse lights in the distance, nothing. Just this one gas station glowing under a flickering overhead light, to pumps. A small convenience store attached to the side with the windows fogged up like it was much colder inside than out. I pulled up to the pump closest to the road. My hands were a little stiff from the drive, and I remember fumbling with my card before I got out. The air outside had this smell I still can't fully describe. Not gasoline, not that sharp chemical smell you'd expect. Something sweeter, almost like burnt sugar, underneath something else I didn't want to think too hard about. The pump wouldn't take my card. No screen prompt, no error message, just nothing. Like the machine was dead, even though the lights on it were on. I tried 3 times before giving up and glancing toward the store, hoping I could pay inside. That's when I noticed the car already parked near the entrance. An old sedan, maybe from the 90s, dust thick enough on the windshield that you could see finger marks where someone had written something and then wiped it away. I didn't think about it too hard in the moment. People leave cars at gas stations all the time, right? Mechanical trouble, someone picked them up. I walked toward the store. The bell above the door didn't ring when I opened it, even though I could see the little metal bracket where it should have been hanging, just gone. No bell, just a gap. Inside, the lighting was that sickly fluorescent yellow, the kind that makes everything look slightly sick. Slightly wrong. The shelves were stocked, oddly neat, almost too neat, like someone had arranged everything by height rather than by product. Rows of canned goods with labels I didn't recognize, brands that felt like they were trying to imitate one's eye, new but not quite landing on the name. There was a man behind the counter, older, maybe 60s, wearing a flannel shirt buttoned all the way to the collar despite how warm it was inside. He didn't look up right away. He was doing something with his hands beneath the counter, some repetitive motion I couldn't see, and for a second, just a second, I heard a sound like fabric tearing. "Evening," I said, because the silence was starting to feel heavier than it should. He looked up slowly. His eyes took a beat too long to focus on me, like he was adjusting to seeing another person after a long stretch of not expecting to. "Evening," he said back, voice flat, unbothered. I told him pump 2 wasn't working, asked if I could just pay him directly. He nodded, said that pump's been temperamental, said I could pay inside once I filled up, like the transaction would somehow still register even though the machine hadn't taken my card. I didn't question it out loud. I just wanted to get gas and get back on the road. Walking back out to my car, I noticed the dust-covered sedan again, and this time I saw the message wiped into the windshield grime. 3 words. "Help me, please." My stomach dropped, but only for a second, because right after reading it, I told myself it was probably a kid's joke, someone messing around, writing something dramatic in the dust because they were bored on a road trip. I want to be honest and tell you that's exactly what I told myself, because the alternative was too big to hold on to standing alone in an empty parking lot at 11 at night. I got back to my car, pumped the gas, which worked fine this time. No card issue at all, like the machine had simply decided it liked me now. While it was pumping, I heard footsteps on the gravel somewhere behind the store. Slow, deliberate, the kind of walk that isn't rushing because it doesn't need to. I turned around and saw nothing. Just the dark tree line past the building, and the flicker of that one overhead light doing its stuttering thing above pump 1. The gas finished. I hung up the nozzle and went back inside to pay, mostly because I didn't want to just drive off without paying. Some deeply ingrained sense of decency, even in a place that was making every nerve in my body scream at me to leave. The man was still behind the counter. This time, though, there was a second person near the back of the store. A woman standing very still by a shelf of motor oil, not looking at anything in particular, not moving, just standing there with her back slightly hunched. "That's my wife," the man said, without me asking. "She doesn't talk much this time of night." I nodded, handed him cash because I didn't trust whatever system they had going with cards, and he counted it slowly, licking his thumb between bills even though it was barely a $10 transaction. "You should get going," he said, not looking up. "Roads get strange out here after midnight." I said something like, "Yeah, I bet," trying to sound casual, trying to sound like a person who wasn't currently fighting the urge to sprint back to my car. As I turned to leave, the woman by the shelf finally moved, just her head turning slowly toward me, and in that fluorescent light I saw her eyes were wrong. Not in some cartoonish monster way, just wrong, glassy, unfocused, like she was looking through me rather than at me. Her mouth opened slightly, and for one horrible second I thought she was going to say something, but no sound came out. Just her jaw working like she'd forgotten how words functioned. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I said thanks too quickly and walked out the door. Back in my car, I locked the doors immediately, which felt both paranoid and completely necessary at the same time. My hands were shaking as I put the key in the ignition. I looked once more at the sedan with a message in the dust, and this time, I swear to you, there was a second line beneath it that hadn't been there before. Smaller, shakier handwriting. "Don't look back." I put the car in reverse so fast I nearly clipped the pump. As I pulled out of the lot, I made the mistake of glancing in my rearview mirror. The man was standing in the doorway of the store now, watching me leave, completely still. But it was the woman I couldn't stop thinking about, because she wasn't inside anymore. She was standing at the edge of the lot, near the tree line, facing the direction I was driving. And even from that distance, I could see her mouth was open again, wider this time. And her head was tilted at an angle that didn't look anatomically comfortable. I drove faster than I should have on that narrow access road, gravel kicking up under my tires, my headlights the only thing cutting through the dark. When I finally hit the on-ramp back to the highway, I didn't slow down for what felt like 10 full minutes. Just kept checking my mirrors, convinced I'd see headlights behind me, convinced I'd see the dusty sedan pulling out after me. Nothing followed. The highway was as empty as it had been before. My phone had no signal the entire time I was at that station. I realized, glancing down at it in the queue folder. But the second I got back on the highway, 3 bars appeared like nothing had ever been wrong. I made it home a little after 1 in the morning. I didn't sleep. I sat on my couch with every light on, replaying the whole thing, trying to convince myself it was just a strange, run-down gas station with a couple of odd, tired-looking people working a late shift. People can look strange when they're exhausted. Eyes can look glassy from fatigue. I told myself all of that over and over until the sun came up and I finally let myself close my eyes for an hour before work. About 2 weeks later, curiosity got the better of me, and I tried to find that gas station online, thinking maybe I could figure out the brand name, maybe read a review or two, just to prove to myself it was a normal place having a bad night. I searched the highway, the mile marker range, every gas station name I could think of in that stretch of road. I found nothing. No listing, no reviews, no satellite image showing a station at that exit. When I pulled up the map and looked at that exact stretch of highway, there was no exit at all. Just a continuous, uninterrupted road cutting through the fields, exactly like there should have been the entire time. I've driven that highway twice since then, in broad daylight, deliberately watching for that exit sign, that small reflective marker with the gas pump icon. I have never seen it again, not once, and I've never taken that route at night since, no matter how much time it adds to my drive. No matter how late I'm running, sometimes I think about the woman's face, the way her jaw moved without sound, and I wonder what she was trying to say. I think about the message in the dust on that windshield, the second line that appeared while I was inside. I think about how the man said roads get strange out there after midnight, like it was a simple fact of local geography rather than a warning. I don't have an explanation for any of it. I've stopped trying to build one, because every theory I come up with falls apart under its own weight, and honestly, some nights I'd rather not know. I just know that somewhere out on that highway, there's an exit that only appears when you need gas badly enough to stop looking for reasons not to take it. And if you ever find yourself driving that stretch of road late at night, running low, watching your gas light blink on in the dark, do yourself a favor, keep driving. Whatever you do, don't take that exit.